kid, bro. Yo, you just too wild with it, bro. Take a break, man. You dragging all the way back in here with stuff to your butthole or something? Got you. It's snowing. I'm gonna take y'all and show y'all snow right now. Pick up, Papa.
Halito. What's going on? What's happening? I can't see who's in it until I touch the screen. So y'all know that. Whew, the great American we are. For it is not the name of the land. That's some pretty big flakes. I've been doing it all night and this morning. I don't like going out and that stuff because I don't trust it. I'm not worried about it. I just don't trust it. Let's see who's all in the house. Rondo, what's happening? Grey Wolf. Matthew Moore, Halito Chumchukma, what's going on? That continue. We're going to get started here in about 5. I had to make my tea, you know, get my little medicinal tobaccos in, and we'll get started here soon. You know what we're reading from today, this morning, this AM. Enoch. I'm not reading from another one. The other one I'm studying is it's the quatrains. It has a lot of this and a little more. This is like, they say it's not, but this is like the 16th edition. The one I paid a lot of money for, it's like copy number 3. And Custodians of Time. And then around 2:30, 3 o'clock, we'll do the other one. I know people message me going, well, we don't want to open. I'll do it open, all right? I didn't drop my rent check off, so I got to take it over there and drop it off after we do this little hair, okay? walk on the ammo. There you go. No treats, not right now. No. Somebody's coming to say hi. Somebody's coming to say hi. Say hi. Look, right there. Look. Up here. Not at the guns. Look. Say hi.
Bad show.
He likes he's in love with this stuff. He's a two-way cat. You licking the snow off my sleeve? Huh? Okay. You got a little wet. How did you get wet, huh? How did you get wet? You don't get them nuts off me, boy. Yeah. Huh? You can't. You like that? You like lavender? It's good, right? Who would ever figure? I don't want it now. You don't like it. Who would ever figure that? I know you like the incense, but not that. Yeah. Hold on. Nah. No. You don't like myrrh. How about frankincense? Sensation. Frankincense and myrrh. You don't like it. Well, you like the myrrh. You don't like the frankincense. Okay. Anybody else come in? Nobody else? Not yet? A lot of y'all know I'm not a religious person. I don't knock them. I just knock those who claim it, but they profane and do everything else. There's a quote. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay. This is by the Upanishads of India in the 9th century BC. Now, any and everybody knows that in the 9th century BC, that India didn't exist. We know that Hindustan was our understanding from the separation of division. And that was somewhere in the 16th, 15th, 16th century. And it was all Upper and Lower Ethiopia. So we know when they write things, they change it to push a vector of knowledge to keep you stuck without looking or seeing anything outside of itself. It must be consistent, the lies and the truth. And anyone that could do that is destructive. Now, the saying that we used to say in the military was, all the gods, all the heavens, and all the worlds are within us. Because it is us. And it doesn't mean us alone. It means all the other earths as well. And I don't mean round spinning balls somewhere out in some fictitious space. I mean right here on the creation's footstool. All is here. Who is to say or determine in our most significant way of thinking what the Creator has done, amounted to? Why would they have us look at one sin, or one sin being all things, or one Lucifer, to make sure no one knows the truth, to seek divinity of self, to be connected to the source, which is all of us? If we all return to the source, why are we not the source here? Well, at one time we were the source. The problem is everybody's so lethargic and pragmatic and angromatic in their way of thinking. The division is concise, and no one could have done that but the enemy of all life, even of themselves, that they have went so far as the amount to change themselves. Therefore, who remembers when I read all them 6,000, well, I didn't read every one of them, but over 6,400 names that allude to one evil. All the gods, all the heavens, all the world are within us. Are we not from it? Wasn't that what we were taught? So what was the lie? The convection of status, the convection of idioms to push narratives for division, so that we be copious in it as if it was meaningful, to set certain individuals on a pedestal, to have us illiterate in the new understanding of deceit until we learned deception and became deceitful. Do you get it? So whenever someone's talking about religion, they should really know what they're talking about. And if they want to spin something on a god or gods, they should really have an empirical understanding or understanding. How can I claim to be God, feel, and not know what God am I talking about? Which one? We're so elusive in our mannerism. Yet we profess everything, we claim something, and we know nothing. I just wanted to throw that out there. So let's get into Enoch. Today, on this day, excuse me, I'll be reading chapters 11, 12, and a little bit of 13. Yesterday we left off, and I want to reiterate where we left off first. Verse 21 of chapter 10. And all the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations shall offer adoration and shall praise me, and all shall worship me, and the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement. Who am I to say is who is him, it, or them? Who am I to determine what has been changed or not? But I am to send a message, right? That's what we're supposed to be, as messengers for one another, until a messenger is not required anymore. And we will get there as to why one will never be required again. And from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment, and I will never again send them upon it from generation, generation, and forever. So we're being tested. But the scourge is supposed to have limits. Is it or is it not? How long are we supposed to be in the murk and mire until we realize our true potential? I've been telling you nonstop, ever since I reignited this channel, that you are more powerful than you can even conceive or conceptualize. I've been asking you to share this, and many of you have said no. And there are those of you who stop in as if you are a vector of some informative or information. And yet those who run around, they implicated themselves in a dire situation that doesn't matter what they've seen, what they've come to know, they would as soon have claimed death before the things they have done. Yet, they don't get it. Chapter 11. And in those days I will open the store chambers of blessings, which are in the heaven. Open our hearts again? Is it possible? So as to send them down upon the earth over the work and labor of the children of men. And truth and peace shall be associated together throughout all the days of the world and throughout all the generations of men. All the worlds, all the generations of men. So why do we think it's just here? Chapter 12, he says his great works. Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. Why is it that one was cut short and the other added with adoration to the first when they were decisively two different Genesis? And where's the rest of the script before it? Chapter 12. Before these things Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden and where he abode, and what had become of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers. And his days were with the holy ones. So listen, and his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the holy ones. And I, as an Enoch, was blessing the Most High Majesty and the King of the ages. And lo, the watchers called me, Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go, declare to the watchers of the heaven who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. Ye have wrought great destruction on the earth. Wives, not one, plural, wives, as we have. And ye shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sin, because if there's too many of us, there's far too many for them to fight, to destroy. Illumination would be greater, and that our people run around with Margaret Cena and those who have made a pact with the watchers. And ye shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sin, and inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of their beloved ones shall they see. So all the little scrapey, little cutty up things and all that, those performed it, those stood by and allowed it, and those who sanctify it, and those of you who have done it, this is what you get. The murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament and anguish, not just of the fear of creation itself, but the order of it. being so cut away from righteousness, and shall make supplication unto eternity. I don't think you get what that means. But mercy and peace shall ye not attain. You best straighten up now. You best go out there and you best enude yourself to inform. Fear not death. Do not fear death. Chapter 13. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, you idiot, stop putting L behind your names. Thou shalt have no peace, because that's for the select of that order. We are an entire different order. That which may have been, but we are different. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee to put thee in bonds. And thou shalt not have toleration, nor request granted to thee, because of the unrighteousness which thou hast taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which thou hast shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. You remember, now they saw things and knew things that you and I have not seen or known. I can't implicate all of us, but then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they besought me to draw up a petition for them that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Most High, or that of the Sovereign of heaven. From thenceforward, they could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of their sins. So they couldn't even look within. They couldn't even look in the mirror. Their sins for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to their requests that they should have forgiveness and length of days. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of the west of Hermon. You know, it's funny how heavy metal decided to make Dan look like a pervert in pornography in their movie Heavy Metal, right? Know the works of thine enemy, people. To the south of the west of Hermon, I read the petition till I fell asleep, and they decided to say Hermon's a monster. All I'm doing is what's my conviction. I am enlightening you to the things, to the dead things that he took from alive. I read the petition till I fell asleep, and behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me. And I saw visions of chastisement, and a voice came bidding me, bidding me as an eye to tell it to the sons of heaven, and reprimand them, the watchers. And when I awakened, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in Abizajah, which is between Lebanon and Siniseh, with their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep. And I began to speak the words of righteousness and to reprimand the heavenly watchers. And we'll pick up chapter 14 tomorrow. The custodians of time. It is often said that Christian and ancient, we're going to read from the beginning because some had not heard this. It is often said that Christian and ancient Egyptian religious beliefs have many similarities, even to the extent overlapping. This is a game to these people. Trust me. Christians and ancient Egyptians believe that their children are a blessing from God, and that death is simply a transitional stage, leading us from this world to the next, and to an afterlife that lasts forever. When atheists proclaim that science alone, this is why I'm reading this again, science alone is the final arbiter of truth, and that science alone is the solitary methodology of understanding, they are in fact making a declaration of faith. It is a religion in its own. Because you need to remember that atheism didn't exist then. See how we take something that has truth and fiction and we make the correlation for correction? How would I know, right? You travel the world enough and you read enough and you listen to enough old timers, then you see the spark that brings fear for destruction by the enemies of life and those in ignorance and admiration who have capitulated and given themselves to the barter. That means to assist in the betrayal of those like us and those who would alter themselves to not remember. Egypt is the setting for many of the best known tales in the Christian Old Testament. Some of you Aboriginal movement, whatever, Indian movement, whatever, this is the old original Egypt. This is Asia Superior. This is the original soil that stood above the waters when this place was created, with many other lands, but the first to peek through. We're not talking about the mount. You know what mount I'm talking about. That which has balance and harmony for this known land. The black monolith, the rock, that they want you to believe is just 2001: A Space Odyssey. Through Moses, the Creator punished the Egyptian Pharaoh for holding his Hebraic people in bondage. Yet there is no account of the Exodus within Egyptian records. Over there is none, because it didn't happen there. I would say something else, but it might tear asunder some certain individuals. Betrayed by his brothers, the young Joseph. What are you doing? You just love being by me when I read this stuff, don't you? I can dig it. Young Joseph suffered in slavery within Egypt before rising to become its vizier, second only in power to the pharaoh. Modern day conspiracy theorists, and you know this word was created in the 60s, 1960 what? 65, right? 64? No such word existed in ideology. That's why when you read, you must know certain things. It doesn't dismiss the writings, nor the lessons, because there's nothing new under the sun, but how the definition of it can be changed. Isn't that true? Isn't water what the canoe is, as canoe is the water, which the water is actually not named, the liquid that is life? I mean, you can't make this stuff up, people. Modern day conspiracy theorists have linked Jesus, we know no existence, to the ancient Egyptian god. They had to link it to something, Horus. And there are many films and books supporting these claims and investigations, both in history and spirituality. Note similarities and differences between Horus, the ancient Egyptian god, and Jesus. And we know that Horus is of that of the custodians. So therefore, why wouldn't the Vatican, who works in leagues with them to destroy the original people, as well as many of their own, consistent to believing they can live another 400 or 500 years even in old age, yet to destroy so many children and make sure they save at least 500 million? Do you get what's going on? So anyway, claims investigations both in history and spirituality note similarities and differences between Horus, the ancient Egyptian god, and Jesus. According to Egyptian mythology and the Book of the Dead, the Creator wants us to have everlasting life. So why would there be a Book of the Dead? The ancient Egyptian god of the earth, Geb, we know incorrect, and goddess of the sky, Nut, had 4 offspring: Osiris, Isis, Set, and Nephthys. Osiris was the god of the afterlife. He married his sister Isis, and the goddess of fertility. Their union infuriated Set, their brother and god of war, so much that he murdered Osiris. He cut his body into 14 parts and scattered them all over Egypt. Sounds a little like Nimrod, y'all. Remember, his wife found his phallus. Nimrod was a giant. And he became a giant. Why? He had the cloak and the cloth of who? And he wore it, and it made him big and one of the greatest hunters of earth. Who was the cloth that he had? Whose cloth did he have? They enamored him with otherworldly powers. Otherworldly powers. Other worlds, y'all. Isis, with help from Nephthys, his sister, and Anubis, the protector of the dead, gathered all the pieces and magically brought the body back to life, conceived with Osiris, and then begat Horus, the falcon-headed god, in a swamp. Sounds like Georgia to me. Definitely not. What could it be of the Twa? When Set learned that Horus had been born, he set out to kill the child. But Isis hid Horus from his uncle's devious plan in a lotus flower, until the gods decided that Horus was the rightful ruler of the throne of Egypt. Set could not take this royal declaration and decided to enter combat with Horus. During the epic battle between the two gods, Set tore out Horus's left eye. Y'all remember the movie. The god Thoth restored Horus's eye and blessed him with the light of the moon. And remember, some little knucklehead kid found his eye for him, in love with some girl. He wasn't brought back to life, right? In the movie. This is how they pervert things and keep you running around in the wilderness. During another dispute, Set sent darkness over the right eye of Horus. Goddess Hathor poured some of her milk into Horus's right eye and blessed it with the light of the sun. The battle proved victorious for Horus, as he avenged the murder of his father by killing Set. Horus gifted his left eye to Osiris, who received rebirth in the underworld. The eye of Horus was the subject of veneration in ancient Egypt. As it represented ancient, so is there a new Egypt? As it represented regenerative and healing properties, the eye was used as a funeral amulet for protection against evil, and it also embellished mummies, coffins, and tombs. The Book of the Dead records that the funerary eye amulets were made from lapis lazuli, or from a stone called mak. Some of them were gold-plated. In modern times, the eye is known as the Uchat or Uchat, meaning sound eye, and it is worn as a protection amulet. And some of our people do things with tiger eye and this, that, and the other. And we have for a long time, even staffs. The pharaohs of ancient, and we're not talking about blaxploitation and African American nonsense and Pan-Africanism. The pharaohs of ancient Egypt believed that they were the living representation of Horus. After death, however, they thought that they would represent Osiris in the afterlife. Horus is one of the best-known Adian gods, means bird, from the ancient Egyptian dynastic periods. The pre-dynastic rulers of Egypt were known as followers of Horus. Horus was also known as the sky god or lord of the sky. The word Her, also Har and Har, means the one on high, or the distant one. This probably refers to the soaring flight of the hunting falcon, or the solar aspect of the deity. Mythological evidence depicts him as a celestial falcon. Remember when I was reading in Terra Infinita? Pay attention. Whose right eye represents the sun and left eye represents the moon. Mechanical and living, remember? On an ivory comb of the first dynasty, King Den, Horus is depicted as a falcon on a boat riding with outstretched wings, which suggests that he was the sun god. The early texts distinctly refer to him as God of the East. And we both know the sun and the moon are not gods. They're put there, one as satellites, for whatever purpose it is. Now, who's to say who put the moons in place? Remember, there are some lands that don't have a night. There was recorded history where we didn't have rains. Let me read a little bit of past heroes. Feted as the hero as war erupted around, drafted in by default, not by conviction profound. Following sergeant's orders to run into the burning fray, feeling cutting grief rather than relief. That he'd outlived his friends to see another day. Mud pulled down his marching steps, mud engulfed his nation. No clarity did any see through tears when parting at the station. Folk did what they thought they ought, did what they'd been taught. Raised from babes to do a duty, yet returned from wars in which they fought. Trauma erased pictures of beating, lives were lost. destinies casually tossed into firing lines called war, yet medals were not praised nor consciousness raised to learn from what had gone on before. First encounter. Recorded Wednesday, 8th January 2020. Present Dr. William Bullis, Professor Charles Appleyard, and DCI Marcus Thomas, all Masonic. Detective Chief Inspector Marcus E. Thomas' telephone rang while he was about to finish his breakfast. Marcus was none too pleased about the intrusion. Damn, if it's that important, they will ring back or probably call me on the mobile. Sure enough, sounds a little creepy, right? Sure enough, 20 seconds later, his mobile rang. Just as he was slipping his last piece of buttered toast into his mouth. If they had only waited another 20 seconds, he could have washed it down with his second mug of strong tea. Sounds pretty good. Oh, that's strong. Marcus switched the device on and holding it to his ear shouted, "Yes, who is this?" Thomas instantly regretted raising his voice, as he quickly realized the caller was none other than his assistant commissioner. He apologized for his sour persona by telling the commissioner he thought it was his mother-in-law ringing. Yes, sir, I agree. I'll be there in just over 15 minutes. Thank you, sir. Goodbye. Debbie Thomas only heard her husband's replies, but she knew to whom her husband was groveling. Was that the assistant commissioner, dear? Debbie shouted after her husband. What do you want for dinner tonight, dear? No reply. She watched from the bay window, as Marcus shuffled down the driveway to his car before Debbie answered her own question. I'll take that to be a curry takeaway, shall I? Debbie clutched the teacup lovingly in her hand as she wondered whatever she saw in her husband of 20 odd years. What is that? Love to death and do us whatever the fuck? You know, all that. Do us part. Marcus Thomas, you are a bloody cantankerous old sod. Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Oh, well. At least I'll have the day to myself. Debbie settled into her comfy armchair in the lounge, magazine in hand, and sipped her tea in peace. She considered going shopping, but then she remembered. Sod, this bloody lockdown. DCI, yes, y'all. DCI Marcus Thomas gave a half-hearted salute and he hurried past the armed officers, standing to attention either side of the hospital ward entrance. He hurried through to the small private room where 2 men were waiting for his arrival. Marcus kept his cap on until he was safely inside the small side room, adjacent to the main ward. Marcus surveyed his surroundings before removing his cap. He was pleased to see Bill Bullis, whom he already knew. The other introduced himself as Charles Appleyard. Or to be precise, Professor Appleyard. Appleyard tried to smile, but it seemed obvious that Inspector Thomas was not in a happy mood. Thomas, not but being a natural charmer, was not overly impressed by what he saw. Professor Appleyard appeared much younger than Thomas anticipated, and Mark hated it when kids were trying to converse with him, especially when it came to police business. Professor what exactly? Marcus spat back in annoyance. So he did. He said, Professor of what? Ignoring the question, Appleyard brought Inspector Thomas up to date regarding what had happened, as well as offering opinions about the man the DCI was about to meet. We will leave it for you to decide, Appleyard retorted. Whether you think our patient is a paranoid schizophrenic, a drug addict with hallucinations, or a terrorist with murderous intentions. Thomas swallowed hard and only had a few more months before his retirement, and the last thing he needs right now was to interrogate a potential terrorist. The strain was showing on his face. Thomas knew he was out of condition. His trousers were creased and his jacket barely fitted. He had often considered purchasing a wig, but he knew Debbie would take the piss. If only these damn lockdowns would finish, he could go shopping. He certainly needed a new suit. Marcus was also thinking about, his lump sum, tax-free pension, as well as the other benefits that accompanied his rank. What has he said up until now? Marcus asked without directing his question to anyone in particular. Charlie Appleyard was first to reply to the question. What hasn't, he said. We can't stop him from talking. So Thomas eyed the patient with complete indifference. Before asking Billy Bullis about the injuries the man had suffered, Bullis explained his patient had 2 broken legs, a broken pelvis, and a fractured skull, all consistent with what you would probably get by standing in front of a car traveling at over 40 miles per hour. Marcus decided that it was time to find out more about this man. What is your name? Thomas didn't get a response, but then the injured man suddenly addressed the room like an amateur Shakespearean actor about to spout forth his lines. The 3 men listened intently as the patient began to speak. Have you wondered why I have not given you my name? Despite having been brought into A&E, I would have thought that such details were highly significant. But all the doctors want me to do is to stop talking, which doesn't make sense to me. Surely my injuries are more important than my name. I have a question for you, gentlemen. Have you ever wondered whether important events in our past could or should be altered, and if so, what might the result of such alterations be? Let's call it a what-if scenario. You can see I'm getting to the meat of it. Do I have your attention now? Dr. William Bullis, Professor Charlie Appleyard, and DCI Marcus Thomas looked at the man lying in the hospital bed with curiosity and suspicion at the same time. The patient had been brought to hospital by ambulance following a road traffic incident on the A2 at Dartford. He had long, fair, greasy, unclean hair down to the nape of his back and sported a bedraggled beard. His skin was of dark and olive complexion, and he spoke with a Middle Eastern accent. Originally, Thomas had his suspicions. The man might be a terrorist, but quickly dismissed these thoughts because the stranger wore only a type of loincloth beneath a filthy long throw about his torso. Nowhere to hide any weapons there, Marcus thought. Marcus had been on the force for over 25 years, and up until this morning had never encountered such an outlandish case. What do we do when we see something we don't recognize it? We dismiss it. We call it every kind of name. Conspiracy theorist, my ass. But anyway, listen. He fidgeted uncomfortably in the hospital chair, feeling uneasy as the patient began to speak. You must realize, if just one moment in time was ever altered, everything thereafter must accordingly be adjusted, possibly bringing your own existence into question. Let me commence with this scenario. What if in the year 937, who remembers me putting up the picture of a Tartarian building that said established 937? Oh, y'all don't remember that? Oh my goodness. Well, y'all might as well go back and see if it's still up there. Yes. Established means built. 937. A building of wondrous melee and, oh, it's destroyed. World War II was a motherfucker. Anyway. If the combined enemies of King Athelstan managed to defeat your newly crowned king of a united England, the dreams of such an England would be forever lost, and the creation of a Daneland would have been forged. The only Athelstan the 3 men were aware of was from Bernard Cornwell's drama, The Last Kingdom, a fictional television character concerning King Egbert and the Vikings. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. The patient looked at his interrogators with loathing. Are you all that ignorant of your past? He asked as he decided to continue with his narrative despite their joint awareness. After this, I will shut this down until tomorrow. Okay, what if William the Bastard, the Duke of Normandy, had not been victorious over Harold Godwinson at Hastings back in 1066? England would probably have remained Anglo-Saxon. You have to believe me when I say, if Harold had lost the battle, your language and belief system would be radically different from that of today. Marcus Thomas looked blank, wondering what this man lying before him was talking about. Noticing the awkward glances the 3 men gave each other, the patient tried a different tack. What if Oliver Cromwell and his Puritans failed in their attempts to eliminate King Charles from the throne of England? Failed in their attempt to eliminate King Charles from the throne of England. Did y'all know that? His grand title of Lord Protector would never have been created. You have to believe me when I say I have no favoritism on this matter one way or the other. But sadly, this sorry affair exists whether I like it or not. Let me now ask you to mull over one of England's most discussed scenarios, which is possibly one of the most argued events. It leaves French scholars deeply divided. I talk about, Sonny, the so-called Battle of Waterloo. Unfortunately, my friends, there was no such confrontation at Waterloo. I knew it. It took place at Mount Saint Jean. What was her name? Jean what? If you will allow me, I will attempt to clear up this misunderstanding. In the month of June 1815, there was a small holding on the Charleroi-Bruxelles road named Mount Saint Jean Farm. It stood midway between the edge of an escarpment and the village of Mount Saint Jean. Victor Hugo, in his novel entitled Les Miserables, clearly describes, I saw that in New York, clearly describes a massive French cavalry attack on the British infantry squares, situated on the reverse slope of the escarpment during the height of the battle. How could such a misunderstanding arise, and where did the location of such a battle take place? The conclusion is relatively simple, my friends. Following Wellington and Field Marshal Blucher's glorious victory in a muddy field in Belgium, Wellington returned to his lodging house in the nearby town of Waterloo. He had gone there to finalize his reports before they were conveyed to London. Inspector Marcus Thomas turned to the bullets and took a massive intake of breath that lifted his shoulders as if to say he knew nothing of what the patient was saying. His knowledge of history just about covered World War II. Marcus tried to ascertain the patient's name again, but he guessed that his question would not be answered. He assumed he would be informed only when the man declared the time to be right. But at present, the patient continued with his ramblings. Thomas had to remain patient. And you know these people aren't patient. He was still thinking where the battle took place when, without prior warning, the patient raised his index finger directly towards Marcus' face. Marcus was startled for a few seconds as the question swiftly came forth from the unknown man's lips. What if Wellington had been defeated? Might England be part of a much larger French empire? Possibly one that included India, Pakistan, Gibraltar, Malta, Australia, New Zealand, and many others? What if the vision of a French empire stretched farther afield to include the likes of North America and South America, which we know is no such thing, no South America. European countries such as Germany. Might the devastation caused by 2 world wars been averted? You see, what might happen if one Anglo-Saxon English king had died in Brunanburg. Appleyard, Bullis, and Thomas sat bemused, bewildered. All 3 men fell to fully understand what was being said, and we will pick it up from there tomorrow. And my buddy's sitting right here because even he knows something I don't. So I hope that was, it gets, y'all know I've been tearing this book up. And they go, you'll see. You can see it right now. Let me see who will all stop in and give some shout outs. Mama Red, none of your business. Great Wolf. All right, I think I already hit you up, right, brother? Alito, I've been posting these readings in some Flat Earth Facebook groups and getting some varied responses. I had to block and report some folks. Oh yeah, don't worry about them. You know they're idiots. The monsters are harming human monsters, yes. What up, Rob Bell? What's happening, sis? Rip Floyd, what's going on? Hey. You have Adam's cloths. We'll get there. Let's be patient. Yeah, Nimrod. Not Adams. He had one of the strong sons. Later on, This is post-flood with Nimrod, you know, supposedly. You know, there's been several floods. The floods are not what people think, because in the fake Bible, the way they've created it all, like it was a great world flood, 40 days, 40 nights. We have about 3 scenarios, whether it be in so-called South America, we know it's not South, Russia, and I forget, is it Uzbekistan or something like that, where mountains 400 feet high happen in 30 minutes. So what everybody has been taught, millions of years and all this other stuff, have been lies. Now, how old is Earth? No one knows. And I would do best to have everybody stop even worrying about that. Worry about the time frame you're in. Let tomorrow worry for itself, and the last year and yesterday, learn from it and the mistakes, and divide yourself from the lies, and allow yourself, by looking in the mirror, to perceive and to by removing the encryption of lies, to see the truth. Believe me, the truth is within every one of y'all. Believe me, it is within it. It is in you. I mean, if I was to say some things right now, there'd probably be about 5 tall ass motherfuckers knocking on my door in black suits, and they would have a problem. But I'm just saying, but I'm not here for that. I'm here to guide you along, and it's like a big game, people. It's like a big ass game, whether you want to believe it or not. So you got to figure it out. You know, time is very short. And you snap up out of it. There's New Egypt, New Jersey. No, Egypt was all over. It's all over. It was everywhere. It was every land. It was every land. Just keep paying attention, that's all. It was every land, my brother. Mama Red. Matthew Moorcroft, I see you again. Thank you, Mama Red. Thank you, beloved one. Getting rid of the retards. Fourth world. What's going on? Everybody. Nothing but love. Anybody have any questions right quick? We've only been on for an hour. You know, some people will be having them 8-hour joints. I can't do that. I got to fart and drop a deuce and eat a couple, veggie sticks and stuff. But anybody got any questions? Excuse me. This lavender tea is phenomenal. Yogi. Don't it make you just want to buy some now? Questions, please. Related to what we read, the topic and what we've read. And it all ties in, every bit of it. And there's actually another book I throw in there. I just think that would be too much. But it's befitting for going back to the Civil War, because there's things that are going to make you question the relevance and the reality. Now, we've already covered where they always talking about the South. I'm just going to put this out there. The so-called Confederacy, the war, I call him war chief. Well, they say he was Jewish, right? But didn't I explain to y'all the color of him? And they keep putting that pale skin face up there. So, and Abraham Lincoln, there is a book with a very descriptive, I have it upstairs, descriptive of what Lincoln looked like. Why is he the first face of Mount Rushmore? But how come nobody ever pays attention to the right side of Mount Rushmore, which they've meticulously been working on the last 15, 20 years, destroying the head of the Sphinx. Or how about in Mississippi, the rose of Sphinx they dug up? Oh yeah, they couldn't even hide them pictures no more, but they moved them all. Oh yes, of course there's layers realities, but there's only one reality. The layers are nothing but other. What am I doing? I'm using 4 books right now. I'm taking that and I'm antiquating something. I am telling you those 4 books, and there's probably 50 more that shows one narrative. So yes, different realities, one narrative. The thing is to know the story. It's a straight line. What they've done, they've taken, they put us all on the wide road, and we need to come back and get on our narrow road so we can walk in union. on our own paths and be united in that victorious, instead of victorious complexity, instead of being all over the place. There's one road. There's only one position. And yet, we're so fragmented. You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that people's interests are sparking more, not concerns as in nerves or nervousness or bad, more concerns in wanting to know more. That's my only purpose here, is to get you to question things and to seek more and to make it relevant and not make it up, to actually use something tangible with references and resources, to even utilize the names to search out what they were about, what sex they belonged to, and what was the purpose. Why am I reading Flatlandis and Terra Finita? To show you that a certain group of individuals, that's why I'm telling y'all don't join that shit, is about the destruction, not your livelihood. Because whenever anyone wants control over others, if that doesn't show you not just narcissism and everything else, my boy, narcissism and everything else, it shows you how trilateral they are. It's like the trilateral commission. All void of truth and responsibility. An equinox of destruction. You dig what I'm saying? And there's so much more. I can never tell y'all everything. It's up to you. Because the moment you research this stuff, you're going to look at and see other books. I don't purchase every book that's... Look, when you purchase a book, or you go to a library, or you order something from a library. I've ordered a lot of books from like France and stuff like that, or England. And when I get those books, they always have tandem books that follow suit. I may get one or two. I never get all 20. But what I'll do is I will keep a note of them and see if there's PDFs, and I will not store or save the PDFs. I'll scan them with purpose. Am I seeking particular things? If you get a book that's in tandem something, and you didn't read the first book, and you don't even know what you're looking at. But if you read the first one or two books, of course you're looking for certain things that enumerate, that you could say glorify the first two books, that bring them into focus. And then you look at the other materials that come along, and then you know what happens? Things start popping out at you. Shit. So I was having a conversation. Somebody said, yeah, I was over in so-and-so, and I looked at this building, I knew it was Tartarian, and I was like, boom. Tartarian was very important. Why in the 19th century did they go about destroying it? Actually, it's the 18th century, which is 1900s. You know, 21st century, year 2022. You know how retarded these motherfuckers are. Anyway, they destroyed 90% of the buildings. But yet you see capitals from Cuba to Russia, China, all of them the same. That's why I say this capital, you see what they want to call it. You see they want to call the thing the White House after they reconstruct the period, once it fully turned over, and yet most of the women were still melanated regardless of how pale they look. Why is it important for them to lie? How can you be honest and tell the truth when everything else is a lie? When you have been created or constructed with the purpose of lying, only thing you're going to do is lie. And you're going to put people in positions and places to affirm those lies as if they were correct, or dismiss the truth because it is not in the vernacular, or it's not in the, well, how do we put the scholastic? It is not scholastically recognized. Does that make sense? Am I being of some assistance just a little bit? I'm a student, remember that. There's chatter about Putin pulling out the Antarctica Treaty. Is this true? Man, that motherfucker's part of all this. Don't pay him no mind. Pay him no mind. Let's say that they get power hungry, right? Oh, they kill each other. They get power hungry, right? And he knows a lot more truths, right? Let's say that he doesn't want to see, because you got to remember, in Russia, there's a lot of Tartarian buildings still standing. A lot of them. England too. Why was it important to destroy the majority of them here? Or hide them? I told you this was the Republic. This was the center, not under Polaris, but of some very importance as far as the most righteous. The last to fall. Have we truly fallen? Or did we go into a slumber because it was required? Is there something in the light, the Hava, that is arising that there's nothing they can do to stop it? Have they made a critical mistake, an error? Do you question any of these things? Do you give any of these things thought? Of course spells are real, as far as what we know. So we can't connect the dots. I think we're doing that. Regardless how minimal it is, we are connecting them. You know what I mean? Yes, and they're around. The more you get involved, when you travel, you will notice something. You will notice, holy, wait, that is not, we didn't make that. Now you got to remember now, even though we made these very ergonomic, earth-worthy, we built them better than what they built today. But those buildings they have sheetrock in them now, but they didn't have sheetrock. I remember walking in New York, and it's called Brownsville for a reason, in Brooklyn, where I used to live in Herkimer, and in the Bronx. And I remember them digging up certain parts of the roads, and you could still see the old original roads, hand laid. You know, when your fingers, when you go to grow your corn and all that, you put your fingers and you ask Mama Earth, whatever word you have, you ask for assistance, that it be a good crop, and that you have worked hard with tears of sweat to till the soil. Remember the tilling I read in Terra Infinita? No, and Flatlantis, the tilling. So it is important because it is a good deed. You dig what I'm saying? And the buildings are around. Who lives in New York? Philly. You know those post offices? They weren't post offices. And I know they'll put up pictures showing us rebuilt. No, all they did was refit them after they figured out how they was made and realized it's not that we didn't use metal and concrete. It was the type that was used that was conductive of energy, that was more connected to the earth, that was more natural and raw. Well, Matthew Moore, you've seen some of the buildings there. You have seen them. The cathedrals, the Catholic cathedrals, that's Tartarian. In the middle of each one of those buildings, a place, the center for healing after wars, there would be a fire pit and the organ. It's different now. The organ, certain keys played would throw out certain frequencies to assist the healing. Besides the fire pit and underneath, there would be mud baths, mineral baths that we could put a body into that would cause the healing to be more conductive and more conducive and faster. And underneath each one of these damn fake churches, there is convection centers of control of heat and cool air that run off of the natural ambience of the earth. They've gotten 4 of them running, 3 or 4 of them running mechanically. But do you get where I'm coming from? Why would they take the Vatican and call it a church and call it the Vatican, first of all, and build all those wicked things in there? Because they're insatiably corrupt. They are different. And so are you. We're all different. Are you paying attention now? Do I have your attention? But it's a fun time to be live, y'all. It is a glamorous, wonderful, fun time to be alive. You get to be front row seat and maybe even an actor or actress in it. You get me? Don't say nothing else to that. Just dig what I'm coming from. Yes, like fermented. Yes, Mama Red. Yes, definitely. And so much more. They make big money on that cool, hot info. So money's meaningless. It's worthless. They give it meaning. Remember, how can we be living on our earth and paying to live, paying to drink, paying to eat, so they can poison us? Come on, everything is laid out right in front of you. These things don't need I shouldn't even have to mention that. You have to enlighten yourself to move beyond the scope of that dichotomy, beyond the scope of that destruction. That is self-perilous journeys that you shouldn't be involved in. That creates cortisol raising and everything else. That creates stress and worry. Remove that. Allow yourself to breathe. How many more times do I have to express? You must learn how to breathe. When something feels right, you assess it. Do not become too overconcerned. Address it. Manifest something to berate it, to remove it. Establish where you're at. And then don't allow yourself to be too ignorant to the point where you've removed the whole dialect of knowing you're stronger than it. Allow yourself to rise above this occasion of destruction and you destroy it. Now, that doesn't mean we're all going to succeed, because you know what? It's a hard road. But just because it's a hard road don't mean we cannot access the road and travel it. The road less traveled is the road we need to be on. Because we're always on the road everybody else travels on, so we're always caught in this complexity of this undivinity, this unrighteous, this unnecessary aptitude of ideologies that don't allow us to expand our truth and conscience and a light within us to bring it forefront and out. The window is unnecessary. The mirror must be magnified. My cat literally fell asleep in the most comfortable position I have ever seen. Looking at me, listening to me. I'm passionate, y'all. And it's a good feeling. It's very comfortable for me. Like you just knew. Yes, Rob, God, yes. You know, when people have their own money back in the day, we were convexed in this system, but that was for survival. Remove that. Get rid of that. Nixon, they brought Nixon in, that puppet, that Zod. And then they had him bow out with the false fake Watergate. What, $75,000? Really? I mean, this old bum right here just left billions of dollars. How many? Oh, and they want to take our guns, but left all kind of guns and ammo and all that for the enemies, terrorist people we were fighting for 21 years. That they want no terrorists, they want no enemies. Don't be complacent, be complicit with the truth. Allow it to. The truth is nurturing. The lie and deception keeps us clamored and enamored with all this drama. Forget all that. I can't tell you not to forget to pay your rent. I can't tell you not to forget to pay your water bill or your electric bill or whatever, because that is part of where we're at. Don't even let it stress if you can't even do it. When you become enlightened, everything's centered around to destroy you. The ignorance of everything centered around you. You must not allow it to happen. You must destroy it. And you start by destroying it inside. And that means whatever feeling, emotion you bound to that, because it feels like something was taken away from you. First of all, you don't even have the life that you're supposed to be living. How's that? Does that make it a little simple now? What are we doing wearing drawers? I ain't got on no damn drawers. I'm free balling. You know that song? And I was singing to Rob. Ooh, child. I can play it, but now I don't get a copyright strike. You know, 5 steps, you know? Things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. You know what I'm saying? Walk in the rays of the beautiful sun. Every word means something, even the words they use against you. We are beyond the scope of that. You are more powerful than you can even imagine. And just allow yourself to be that. Boy, you're crazy. Well, Matthew, don't worry about it. It's already done with. Shit, our grandmammies and grandpappies was doing it. Fuck. That's where we're at. So what? We just keep doing it until it has. You heard what I was reading. Until it is not needed no more. But when that happens, every participant will be destroyed. And where they will sit at is not a place to be seated. Everyone. We don't care about the. Look, y'all help me with this one. I was an old school Star Trek fan. Now the new Star Trek with Captain Picard and all that. Who was the motherfuckers that rode around in the big ass cube making everybody robots and shit? What were they called? Okay, do I gotta look it up? Ain't nobody gonna tell me? He's laying on it. He always gotta lay his ass. You trying to get testicular cancer? You can't smoke no weed. What were they called? Somebody help me out here. Not Romulans. That's more like the betrayers and workers. The board. Well, that's the custodians. And what are they trying to do? Metaverse. Elon Musk ain't who everybody. I hate when I see one of them niggas on YouTube talking about Elon Musk is a boy. If you don't get your ass out of here, that motherfucker dressed up with a red thing, look like a samurai with Baphomet in the middle. I'm like, if y'all don't get how they took all the shit that's perverted and things that you don't know nothing, just throw it in your face. And I showed y'all Denver, Colorado yesterday at the airport. They done got the goddamn last horse up there with the blue. That motherfucker with the red eyes with the skeleton riding on it, the horse of death. Like, pay attention, people. They're telling you. First, they sent some special force motherfucker. Well, not all special force guys in this shit, but a special motherfucking trained motherfucker to run up over there and blow up. Something our parents should have done in the motherfucking 60s. Blow up the fucking storm, the shit over there, right? I don't give it no name in Georgia. And then they did a few more things. And who do you think is getting away with blowing up these buildings and setting them on fire? It ain't Antifa and Black Lives Matter goofy asses. They already had their run of reign. Now Antifa and Black Lives Matter are all getting in Congress and positions of power to usurp y'all more. I don't think you get it. Even Putin don't like socialism or fascism. He can't stand Stalin. Why is that people have a hard time understanding this? It's not, that's all an image. They program the people to follow that shit. When I last checked, China and Russia living better than we is. Even though there's a lot of bad shit going on. But it wasn't that way here. It was always against us. Red, do you think that people have changed the meaning to the words of? Red, do you think that people have changed the meaning to the words of? Like of or for? Is that what you're meaning, brother? Be more articulate, because I really. Of course they have. Rattle Smallfoot, why you retract the? Of course they have, brother. Yes, of course they have. Yes, everything must be changed in order to keep you away from order. They must have chaos to create order, but it's not real order. First, they have to condition you. They brainwash you. They liberate. Why do we have books still? Well, it's not like they can rewrite a whole brand new history, y'all. They use an old history and they have people and individuals. These motherfuckers are brilliant. Change everything and formulate everything to fit a new narrative as they study. How many times can they rise above the occasion and turn back on before we have to go in and restrict and then challenge and then destroy them? I get you, brother. You know what I'm saying? I don't know everything. I know just a little bit of shit. Some people out there might know a whole lot. And I just know a little bit of stuff. And I share what I know. And I share with y'all also as I'm walking. Nah, you can't walk how I'm walking. But I share with you my walk. A very short one it is too, people. Just the way it is. And I put my bids in, don't worry. Doesn't mean it'll always work out, you know what I mean? I hope them two ain't over there arguing about changing the words of the dictionary. Of course. and the meanings, of course. In order to keep you and I and everybody else, I and I, in situational norm, of course. Look what they did with the word black. I mean, come on. 1628 Webster Dictionary, Webster, that idiot, definition of black. Now you look at it, they got it all meaning like dark, deaf, bad. That's not what it meant. Come on now. Don't ask me something else. No, you can ask me anything. I'm just playing with you. I got to get you going. Maybe we can get a few hundred in here watching sometime instead of them always clamoring for ain't doing nothing. Oh, it's not no hate, it's reality. Well, anyway, it's almost 1:30. I'm gonna shut this motherfucker sucker down because we gotta come back here in about an hour and 15, 20 minutes and get the second reading in. And I really appreciate it. You know where I stand with y'all. Nothing but love. I gotta do this right. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all more than anything. You know I truly do love y'all. All right? So I will see y'all in an hour and 20 minutes. That's a good old enough time to make a major sandwich, drop a deuce, and hey, man, maybe mix up some cornbread and some, you know. Oh, he got to raise his head now because I'm talking weird. It's me, cuz. See y'all shortly. Hour and 20 minutes. Have some of your family sit their ass down. Sit your ass down and just watch. Well, this is going to be a nice one, too. I'm not going to assert a whole lot of stuff. I'm just going to assert a few things so we can drive it home. All right? So y'all have a grand day.